What's up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to Alandressa, our D&D campaign. This is session 37. I'll give you a quick rundown of what's happened so far, shall we? We've got the Gouda guys here, or at least 5 of them. We have Mars, Tats, Katie, Shen, and B. How are you all doing? I know that we've got some mixed responses to that up front.
Yeah, I'm
Alright.
doing okay.
We're going from
Bit
to
better.
alright to
Good, good.
okay. I think that that's probably
Oh,
fair.
pretty good.
And all in all, pretty good. I like that. We don't have Steve again this week. Steve will be rejoining us in the coming weeks. Steve's got some important life stuff that can't be delayed or put aside, so that's obviously takes precedent, takes priority, and it's all good stuff. Nothing to worry about, but we love Steve and we wish him all the best while he gets it all sorted. In the meantime, however, your group has gone from trial and tribulation to trial and tribulation. And how? You started in Ironfront, you travelled north and south and east and west. You found your way to Loki's ritual. You found your way to Ox's, or should we call him Buri's, bad books. And you're now in what you all assume to be Ragnarok. Earthquakes, winter, all kinds of bad juju and bad shit all over the place. You all have been feeling a bit down on yourselves, but you picked yourselves up, you dusted yourselves off, and you got yourselves on with the next objective, and that is how to defeat a God King. Well, you found your way down towards Gorizont, as one of the things that you wanted to set right with the world was one of Ruby's cursed enchanted items, the cloak that had the raven's feathers from Odin's ravens themselves, Hugin and Munin. It gave advantage on perception checks when used, but every time it was used, the ravens were aware of it and grew increasingly pissed off. You reached out, however, through Ratatosk, the Norse demigod of, the messenger squirrel god, basically, that passes messages to and from the gods between realms. And that message got to the ravens, and they sent one back, which thankfully Ash was able to translate, because Ash can read Aarakocra. Their scratchings in the paper said Gorizont 3 days, and you were on the other side of the continent before that. So you have raced your way down here, befriending a beautiful, if somewhat injured, adult blue dragon in the meantime. But you have made it here. You are in Gorizont. You are in the realm of the fairy godmother herself. And you have just met Odin, a very old, very cantankerous, very confused man, but nonetheless a god himself. You now, of course, are faced with... Let me just show this artwork for all to see. This is the artwork for Odin. And welcome, Madchar. Always welcome in chat. This is Odin. He has, as you can now tell, his staff is not simply a broken stick. It is Gungnir, his famed spear, but it has been broken at the haft, so he no longer has its spear point to it, and he is as you can tell, not in all of his former glory. However, he is still fucking Odin. He has the one eye, and he's got these two badass ravens. And speaking of the ravens, let's show you some of their artwork. This is, of course, Hugin. And I'll give you a little secret. Munin is exactly the same. I just flipped it horizontal and changed the background. So there's nothing new to see there. But I will show you now. This is Munin. Same artwork, just reversed. Little trick. They're both burbs. However, right now, you have just rolled initiative between Ash and Ruby. Ash to say a word of greeting towards these ravens, these fabled godlike ravens, in Aarakocra, their own tongue. And between Ash and Ruby, unfortunately, Ash was not quite fast enough for Ruby to just kneel. and hold up this cloak above her head for the ravens. The ravens pounced upon Ruby, cawing and screeching all at once, and what you expected to be battle is in actual fact not. The ravens rip apart this cloak and take from it all of the feathers that belonged to them. They place them upon themselves, and you see a little mote of light every time that they sort of stab one where it should be. And you see that there are gaps in their feathers, but now that they start to build up this fuller plumage, you're able to see the full shine and gleam of the midnight blue colouring that they have, as these are some glorious, glorious examples of ravens. But as they do that, they move back away from Ruby and eye Ruby suspiciously. The cloak itself torn to shreds with not a single feather or down still adorning it. It is now a ripped piece of fabric, and you can see that one of these two birds has also left a little bit of shit on it as well. What do you do at this moment?
Nice.
You see behind you that Odin has fallen asleep in his chair. He's just snoring soundly. Nothing happening there.
Ruby doesn't move. Ruby's just scared and is just going to stay perfectly still because Dinosaur's vision is based on movement.
Yeah, for sure.
Ash, you're up. I'm gonna greet them and apologize in Eric Cochran.
Okay. What exactly do you say?
I'm so sorry. We got that cloak from a goblin and we didn't realize what it was. We are very, very sorry.
Hugin turns his head. Moonin turns hers. Neither of them say anything to you, but you can tell that they can understand what you're saying.
My name is Ash. The one behind me who had the cloak is Ruby. She absolutely feels terrible about it.
She should.
We had no idea that it was made from your feathers, so we wanted to bring it back to you to return them to you because they are yours.
Glorious feathers. Glorious feathers. Glorious feathers. Our feathers are glorious. You should know. You should know. You should know that they are glorious feathers. The glorious feathers are our feathers and our feathers only. Nobody else has glorious feathers like our glorious feathers. You should know. You should know.
It's true. Your feathers are way more glorious than mine.
More glorious than yours, yes. More glorious than yours. More glorious. The two of them, like, speak together. This is both of them talking. But they sort of mirror each other whenever they speak. And they're mirroring each other in movement as well, where they are both sort of facing you on either side, but their head movements match. They are so intertwined with everything that they do. And also, welcome David in. I know that Odin is probably stirring in his chair at this point.
I'm going to pull out the letter and lay it down and ask if this was from them or if there's another reason that we're here as well, on top of the most important of returning their feathers.
I'm going to show this to everybody at this point. This is the note that they returned back to you via Ratatosk. It was a scroll, piece of parchment, rolled up for the squirrel to carry. And these are all writings in Aarakocran language that read Gorizont 3 days. As you lay that down on the ground, I think they probably just look at it. One of them hops over. By the way, I've added in some sound effects of ravens in today, so that should be interesting for all of you. So yeah, you have to click on your character though to actually be able to hear it. But yeah, I move. What's it? Moonin moves in, and she looks at this parchment and scratches at it again, like grabs at it with one of her claws. Sort of just plays with it a little bit with her beak, and then she returns back over here to the grass and starts looking for some, like, mealworms in among the roots. Hugin, however, looks over and says, "Feathers, feathers, glorious feathers, feathers, feathers were our feathers. We took feathers. You came here with feathers. We took the feathers. You had feathers, and we take the feathers. The feathers are ours now."
They were always yours.
Moonin, with a gloriously thick, juicy mealworm, is now looking up and sort of trying to say with a half-full beak, "They were ours. They were ours. They are ours. They always will be ours." Hugin nods. "Always will be ours."
I'm gonna turn behind to my comrades and be like, I'm not sure what to ask them now. I have asked them. I'm gonna tell them everything I said.
Yeah, because nobody else here speaks Aarakocra, but Odin does. Because Odin obviously has to speak to the ravens.
Is there anything else I should ask them?
You've already asked if we were brought here for another reason, didn't you?
Yeah, they didn't answer necessarily. They just kept on about their feathers, which they are glorious.
Could you maybe mention Ragnarok again?
So Aurelie is going to do a sleight of hand check. Gets an 18. Oh, no. Aurelie is doing a sleight of hand check to just surreptitiously, like, pretend to stumble into Odin to wake him up from his slumber, and gives him like an elbow to his shoulder without meaning to, like, cause too much suspicion from him that it was intentional. Gets an 18 with that. Odin, let me just see what your passive insight is. Your passive insight is 24. So even with a roll, you would still get higher than 18. So you would wake up knowing exactly what that nudge was.
Damn it, I was trying to sleep. Oh, God.
Well,
Fine,
look,
fine,
we
I'm awake.
need your counsel. We came here for an important reason. There are things happening in the world that you are taking a sideline on, and we figured that you being a god of this world might have some stake in it. So maybe you might want to get back in the game and help us take down this asshole relative of yours, because so far all you've done is sit down and whine. Maybe now you should wake up, figuratively and literally. Huh? Aurelie looks pale. Aurelie looks clammy. Aurelie is, like, trembling as she's saying this. She doesn't quite look to anybody like she's saying any of this with any level of comfort. But she's just been stewing in her own thoughts while all of this has been happening, and is now getting to a point of aggravation, but is definitely still in the nervous, anxious sort of camp first.
You know, I have been alive for a long, long time. I've been in this game, I've been doing this for as long as I can remember, and never once have I been treated like a commoner, being nudged by someone so beneath me before. But
To everybody
I will
else, she
grant
looks
you
like
this.
she's like, her eyes are like shimmering, like gleaming, like she looks like she might cry any second, but is trying to hold back. Like she's holding on
There's a
to her
basement?
roguish, what do you call it? She's holding on to her, like, roguish, integrity, if you like.
Roguish pride?
Pride, that's the word.
Mhm.
What does Odin continue saying?
But I will grant you this. Maybe it is time that I do something else. But being here has not led me to good things. I am not the person that you think that I am anymore. I am tired. I am angry. But I don't know what to do at this point. But maybe you lot can help me figure that out while I delve into this quest of yours. Even though I feel like somebody should get me slippers and another drink instead of going out there and doing whatever it is that needs to be done, because I am still a king. But maybe, just maybe, you have made me realize that I have lost my way.
The raven's coming through the door now, just flitting straight past over the heads of Isabel and Aldrin. They stand on the table.
Hello.
And they just sort of they look at that, managed to target someone. So they stand on the table in front of Odin, and just sort of start pecking and scratching at the table, trying to get seeds and stuff out of it that have been left behind, and wait for everybody's response.
So is anybody going to explain what they're going to do? I'm referring to the birds and that.
Anyone got any thoughts?
I don't know. How are you going to get off of this island?
How are any of us gonna get off of this island? The whole rock problem here.
Well, clearly we can't leave the god alone with the birds, but we can't leave the birds alone with us, and we've got to keep swapping them until we get to the island correctly. You know, I don't know.
I mean, a key issue is that are we going to turn to stone if we try to leave?
Oh, crap.
That's my
Odin,
worry.
you would know. Odin would know exactly what causes them to turn to stone. It's whether Odin would share that information at this point. Now that you are trying to be more forthright and helpful.
Well, I can tell you this. You cannot leave this island. I have been stuck here for a long time, and my powers have been diminished over that time because of a certain individual that keeps everybody here.
Okay,
If you
so
try to leave, you will turn into stone, as has many before you.
we just kill this person, right?
That would be one way to go about it, I guess, yes.
Could we ask to leave?
Well, I mean, my thought is if Odin can't leave, what could we offer?
Any of the Gouda guys can give me a history check if you want. And I'll
Yeah.
remind you, if you get high enough, if you get a 15 or above, I'll tell you what I told you last time. Oh, there we go. Aldrin
Hey,
gets a
yo.
I have no
24.
clue what's going on.
Yeah, Isabel doesn't have any
That's
clue.
a nat 20.
That's a nat
It's
20?
not the-
Oh, with a nat 20, I've got to give you more than just what I told you before then.
Yeah.
Okay, so Aldrin, you know from your... Not just from what I've told you before then, you're now starting to put some, like, the lines of twine on the corkboard together. You're joining memories that you forgot about and that now are returning to you, now that you've triggered them. And in your life of 120 plus years, you have... you know, you've drawn on and you have wicked in this information that you've heard from people's conversations as you were at a distance. You've heard them from members of the swamp village. You've heard them just in general through your travels. But there's always been whispers, and those whispers have always had some level of ambivalence, some level of like chicanery, people trying to upsell the idea of it being some wicked, terrible thing. But there was always something there, some nugget of truth. There's always going to be some level of propaganda that people embellish these stories with. It's the nature of fairy tale. They like there to be some big bad that has some terrible evil, and maybe the fairy godmother was eating children, and maybe the fairy godmother was on a floating island above the water, and maybe the fairy godmother wasn't a fairy at all. Maybe it was some arcane trickster that was creating machines as an artificer. But there was always some level of truth, and you're starting to see now what those truths were and how they all knit together with what you were told by Merlin the last time. And that is that if any single person leaves, then the mages that are under the fairy godmother's control will pull the whole of Gorizont down to hell. That is how that will work. And it's now that you start to realize that there's some connection there between these stones and that. Stones don't work by themselves, and stones certainly don't just work as like a landmine. But you get the idea that maybe these stones have got some arcane runes on them, some kind of protection to stop them from being tampered with, and that they are a key part of the mechanism that would bring this place down. Because it's not like you can just have one spell in D&D, is there, that's like, I'm going to cast Island Hell. It doesn't work that way. There's going to have to be some kind of potential magic that has been laid down in traps, in different mechanisms all the way through the place. And maybe there are controlling towers that are controlling each location of crystals. But there must be some central place with the trigger. And maybe, just maybe, if there were people who would be foolish enough to run, and there are magic users left behind on the island who don't want to be dragged to hell, that maybe those magic users, even being against the fairy godmother herself, might still cast Petrify on those people to stop them from dragging the whole place to hell just for that one person's freedom. So, you're starting now to realize that there are two factions here. There's the fairy godmother, who has set all of these crystals and stones and towers around the entire place to drag everything to hell if anyone's spotted leaving. But there's also good, sort of, if you like, or maybe neutrals, who they don't particularly like it here, but they also don't see the point in killing thousands of people for the sake of one person to escape. So they do turn people to stone when they try to leave, to save the given masses. So you've got two problems here. And you could go about it in many ways. Those are obviously your choices. But this is what you start to see connected in your mind's eye with a nat 20 on your history check.
Aldrin shares this with the group.
Cool.
So that everybody knows about the two faction situation and
Yeah.
what we're dealing with.
Aldrin casts information dump at a 5th level.
Yeah. Aldrin info dumps.
And Odin would know that that ties in with what I'd already told you about the magic users who do cast these stone spells on people who try to leave.
And Odin mentions to Aldrin that you are more insightful than I would have given you credit for. Perhaps you guys aren't as useless as I thought.
Thank you.
And now we get to a point where the light starts to go low again as the few hours that you had of dark vision starts to fade. You've been here for quite a while at this point, and it is still nighttime, but you are getting to the point of day that you are starting to feel like if you continue on and don't have a rest now, that you are going to be exhausted by staying awake for too long and not taking a long rest. This city is about to come to life because it's about to hit morning time, and there are going to be people around who you don't know and who don't know you.
I maybe suggest that we sleep on it.
The rest sounds good.
Sleepy.
Okay, but where are we gonna sleep?
Aren't we in a place that
Right
we can
here.
do so? Yeah.
Well, this is the tavern. It's probably gonna get busy.
All right, we need to go to an inn.
Yeah.
Odin would know that it's not really a tourist destination, so there are no inns. So
Is-
this is going to be the kind of place where you're going to need to try and figure this out for yourselves. Ruby's lying down on the floor, I assume, by the looks of things.
Napping. She's stressed.
Stressed.
Odin shares this information and says, this hasn't had tourists in a very long time, so
Welcome in,
there really
Ghosty.
isn't any place to rent a room, so to speak. I suggest you find somewhere to lay low, rest, and once you've done so, you can find me again. And I will try my best to help you.
We could take a nap in the corner.
This place might not be so well so sleepy at the all there. Sorry, spoons fell out of my mouth again. Won't people come in here soon?
Was there any kind of barn we passed by?
There was a farmhouse, yeah. The people looked like they were asleep.
Is there like a patch of woods or something nearby that we could just camp out at?
From what you can tell, everything that you've seen so far is incredibly well manicured. Everything looks like it was the subject of somebody's wish. Like, I really wish that this was a perfect city. Not necessarily,
not
I
perfect.
wish that there were some nature around that would act wildly. So this is kind of like, I mean, I remember like sort of describing it to you at the start of this campaign as it being the North Korea of this world, essentially. On the face of it, it is perfection because that's the face that they want the world to see. But underneath, it is a rotten cesspool that is filled with oppression and not nice things. So you see that there is a perfect city around you, and that's definitely the impression that you've had walking through it. But there were no people around. Everybody was wherever they would normally be. The only person that you have come across has been Odin. The only animals that you have seen have been the two ravens. This is not your normal experience of a city so far. Everywhere you've been, even when the undead rose, there have been commoners around doing their business. In this place, it is fully deserted at night time, and you haven't yet figured out why, or what that might point toward.
How about is there you know that where we found really? Is there a way to get that to that world here?
I'm not sure, to be honest. There are signs for where you can cross over. Usually it's written on the walls and doors and gates of places in Thieves' Cant. But there's no such writing anywhere here. I've never known a place to have very little Thieves' Cant. I've certainly never known a place to have none at all. And this is completely devoid of all writing. even in other languages.
Well, I'm stumped. Anyone else got any ideas?
The night is starting to rise into daytime. You see that the sun is rising and there is a brisk wind in the air. There's a smell of pine and rosemary. You can feel that there is a waft of wild mint from somewhere nearby, and you start to hear the murmur of people rising from beds and the creaking and groaning of wood as the temperature changes to be somewhat more
Well-
temperate.
If we're gonna go somewhere, we better go now.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep. We need to
I've-
go and we need to decide what we're gonna do. Are we gonna ask the sorcerers for help, or
Can I ask
we doing?
Odin? Can I ask Odin something?
Sure.
Is there any way we could lay low until the town sleeps again?
You can do a survival check
Um,
for me if you want, David.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
I'm fully zoomed in on Ruby, who seems like she's doing some kind of weird breakdance at the moment.
I was just trying to stand up. It went very wrong consistently.
She's got the
I've-
zoomies. Leave her alone.
I've thoroughly enjoyed that you were just rotating on the spot, and I needed to zoom in
I
without
was really
any
having a
commentary.
problem.
Yeah, I didn't want to say
so
anything
many
because you would
issues.
stop, and I didn't want you to stop. So I was like, I'm just gonna watch this for a bit, and then I'll mention it when she stops.
It took me a while. I got there in the end.
Yeah, so if you forget, David, just double click on your
Oh.
character, it brings up the character sheet, and then click on
Yeah.
survival.
Survival.
And normal check.
There we go.
Oh, 18 is pretty good. So yeah, there are some manicured places, but there are also manicured parks, and there is one south of you. So you would be able to go there and sort of try your best to hide among the trees and foliage, but it is still a park, and it is public land where people might be going through.
Yeah.
So whether you would be able to get a full long rest there without being caught is another matter, but you stand a better chance of hiding among foliage if what you're trying to do is to lay low.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would need to stay awake so that you don't look like someone who doesn't have a home.
Yeah.
No, I suggest we will sleep in shifts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Odin shares the information about the park and says, "Look, I've been here for a long time. I may not be the most presentable at the moment, and so I am a bit of a loner as well. So I take refuge in a park south of here. It's got some foliage and trees that you might just be able to hide. It's easier when you're just one person trying to take a nap somewhere. But if you have
Trees.
any sort of spells or disguises that you might use to cover yourself or blend in a bit more, it is still a park. It is still open to the public. But if you don't draw enough attention to yourselves, you might just be able to get a good rest in."
And as we mentioned that, the morning rises, the cocks crow, and you have probably minutes to get there before the people of this city start to
Which way?
south.
I'm going to. I think me and Ash could probably get out by just transforming into something small.
Tree.
Yes.
Fair.
The
Are there any final words that you say before we move on to the next area, by the way?
Where are we gonna meet up with you again?
you're talking to Odin.
Yeah, I was trying to.
I thought he was coming with us.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sick.
I will not be joining you, but you can. Let's just say I'll find you in the park later on. I need to speak with my ravens and potentially have yet another drink.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Ash, you can still hear that Hugin is sort of muttering under his breath, "Glorious feathers, glorious feathers, glorious feathers, glorious feathers." Aurelie
Yes,
just
yes,
moves
they are
on and
glorious.
goes through. At that mention, Hugin comes over and starts to like do the thing that birds do when they like their owner. They like put your finger in their beak and they sort of like play with your finger. That's like one of the sort of affectionate things that a bird will do whenever they like their owner and they like to sort of show affection towards them. They like, rather than biting you or nipping at you, they sort of just hold on to you and move you around and stuff. And Hugin moves over and starts doing that because Hugin appreciates the praise, as they've literally only just regained all of their feathers. So Aurelie moves past the rest of you and goes down to meet Aldrin, and just starts scouting ahead as the sunrise is upon us. What do the rest of you do?
I'm going to transform. Oh gosh, what's the smallest thing? This is a perfect place. I'm going to transform into a cat, a very pretty cat.
Nice. Okay. So like a
Yeah,
wild cat
I
or a
get the
domesticated
feeling-
cat?
Domesticated, because I get the feeling they
Nice.
probably wouldn't want a rat.
Interesting. Yes. Good idea. So you turn into a very pretty cat. We'll keep your token for where you want to move.
Okay.
What, Ash, were you considering changing into something?
Yes, I am going to transform it into like a smaller bird.
Oh, like a songbird or something
Yeah,
more like a raven?
songbird.
Songbird.
What?
So that way I could fly ahead and like hopefully not be seen as something out of this area.
Cool. Any of the rest of you casting any magic-y stuff before we get into the group of people?
Nothing that would be useful.
Okay.
Nothing
Then
stealthy?
I will be moving us over to the next part of the city then. I will need everybody to start rolling some group stealth checks.
I will do once my tokens. There we go.
Stealthy, stealth.
You gotta give me a moment there, Shen. You gotta let me do it. I'm copy and
I've
pasting
got
here
it
like a
done now.
motherfucker.
Oh my god.
No.
But I'm a cat, it's okay.
Right, guys,
Good thing I'm a bird.
what the hell? This is a group stealth check.
I-
What are you doing?
I will say, however, that because Ash and Isabel both did wild shape, that I'll give them advantage, so you can roll a
Oh,
second
I
time
can
and
roll
take a
again
higher.
then.
My nat 20 is wasted on you guys.
And
There
that
we go,
20
there
stealth.
we go.
God.
Like, Ruby disappears, but the rest of you are like, you're getting tired, you've been moving around a lot on the back of a dragon, you don't necessarily have the wherewithal to do these things.
Is that better?
11 versus 8. 11 is better. And we've still got Aurelie to roll. Aurelie has expertise in stealth. And so rolls a 15. Had a +9, so that was with a 6.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Being a rogue, it
What
helps to
bloody
be
set of
stealthy.
rolls, man.
Right, so let me have a look through. So we've got a 2, but then you beat it by a 17. So we've got 9, 8, and then 26 and 17. So then the 11 is going to be the group middle. I've not seen Aldrin's 13. 13 is the group middle. So a commoner's passive perception, because commoners have flat, like everything. They don't have any stats in anything really. They are a flat 10. So the commoners will not be able to spot you particularly well. They don't see you as being anything other than out of the ordinary. A few of you are sort of sticking out like a sore thumb a little bit, but you all as a group manage to cover your tracks well enough that they've not really noticed. And here we are. We are south of here at this lovely giant park. You see that there are crystals all over it, and the feeling starts to become one of joyousness. You see that there are commoners walking around who are just having a lovely morning. They're saying hi to each other. Some people are engaging others in conversation. Some of them are walking along with arm in arm. There's a couple of them who stop. One of them stops to greet you as you pass. Doesn't notice that any of you are any different from the usual people who are around here. In fact, one of them stops to pet Isabel, and thinks that it's charming that one of you is carrying a lovely songbird on your shoulder. We'll say that that might be Briar. And this one starts to pet Isabel the cat, and takes...
I just weave in through the legs as cats do.
Yeah, and this person's just sort of like, oh, aren't you lovely and precious? Wow, a cat, that's different. That's very different. But a good different. I like you. I haven't seen you before, cat. Oh, and they like lean down to see if you've got like like if you've got like a collar, or any kind of tag on that collar to see what your name is. There's no name, so they look towards the party. Does your cat have a name?
Go on.
Do you know what your cat's name is?
Oh, that's Isabel.
Oh, Isabel. That's unusual for a cat. I like giving names for animals. That's very cute. Okay. Just a really must be well fed is all I can really say. Great fur. Love the fur. And the
I'm
commoner
gonna
just
sing.
continues on.
At that comment of being well fed, I'm gonna like do a bird whistle, like a little song.
Which is probably too high pitched for Discord.
Yeah, the commoner. I'm gonna roll to see whether they whether they enjoy it or not. It's going to be an insight, and if they get above a 10, then they enjoy it, and if they get below a 10, then they don't. They got a 16. Oh, wow! And you've got a bird of the wilds with you. So unusual to see a wild bird around these days, but beautiful still. You are really something. I really enjoy this. You've got a great group going here. I assume that we'll see you at the collective later.
Mm-hmm.
They look up expectant to all of you. None of you replying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a cat. I shouldn't have an opinion on this.
Alden
Sure.
kind of just makes a sound of kind of agreement.
Right, like a grunt, like a oh.
Yeah. Like
okay.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just do like every silent protagonist and just nod.
Oh, wonderful. Well,
Ruby is like feigning that she doesn't speak
I'm pleased to meet all of you. I'm pleased to meet all of you. The commoner sort of we'll go with the same insight check of 16. They look towards Ruby and they sort of just do that really uncomfortable thing that English speaking tourists do, where he speaks really slowly and loudly. I am glad that you are here. I am pleased to meet you. Tell your friend that I'm really sorry I don't speak Tabaxi. I don't mean to be rude. I just don't want them to feel excluded. Anyway.
Sure.
I love your cat and your bird, and you all seem like lovely people. I'll see you at the collective later. What were your names again?
Aldrin.
Aldrin? Great.
Twitter.
Ruby says a string of dwarvish.
Ruby says a string of dwarvish. I'm going to roll a luck check on that. See whether this guy can speak dwarvish or not. Call odds or evens. Call odds or evens.
Evens.
Evens. Evens, he can't speak dwarvish. Odds, he can. Evens, he can't. So that's lucky for you, because if he could speak dwarvish, then he would immediately call you out on your bullshit. And he just is like, oh, you speak...
Ruby can speak dwarvish.
You do speak some languages. No. It's not that. It's the fact that you are pretending to be saying, you know, what it is that you're saying, and he'd be like engaging you in conversation, and that's probably not what you actually want from him at the moment. Given that you pretended to not speak common, I'm assuming that you're not pretending to speak, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, So he doesn't speak Dwarvish, so he doesn't realise that there is some kind of subterfuge going on here, and that you're trying to pull the wool over his eyes. But yes, he recognises that you are speaking a different tongue than he can understand, and says, "Okay, Aldrin. Well, it's nothing. I can ask the rest of you your names later. It's okay. I'll see you at the collective. Bring along Isabel and this bird. This bird is great. I love this bird. You've got a very pretty beak, bird." And he walks off towards the this sort of like built-up area of the town. You can see that this is sort of like a marketplace. He looks like he's got a market selling sort of adornments on. He's wearing like rough spun wool with like a long sort of. It's one of those apron overall things that's got like the deep pockets that people often like put their change in whenever they're a market seller. But it's also there to kind of like hide the and protect the clothing that might get dirtied from his day of work. And he just heads back over towards this stall where he sells candles. And he's just got all of these lovely candles, lovely scents. You can smell it on the air, and you can hear the hubbub and the movements of all of these different people. The clack on the cobbles as people come in and out of their homes. Some of them wearing wooden clogs, some of them wearing lovely sandals, but everybody beautifully appointed. Every single person wearing their finest clothes, and it doesn't even seem like there is anything particularly special about this day in the air. They all seem like they're just going about their daily business, and what a beautiful day to go about your business it is. And you have successfully managed to fool this person into thinking that you're just a regular group of Gorizont people. Now then, you are still heading south towards this tree line. There are trees. If you zoom out all the way, you'll see that there are trees towards the very south. For those of you who are challenged in the way of cardinal directions, that is down. So yeah, if you take a look down there, you'll see that there are a bunch of different sort of beautiful trees. There are lush greens, there are evergreens and deciduous trees. There are those that are in their autumnal glories, and those that are still fully like in their summer prime. You can see that there is the sound of bird song, but you don't necessarily see any birds. And there are these giant ominous crystals around as well. Are any of you going to move, or do you want me to move you for you? I know we're a day low on spoons, but usually we struggle with this as well. So if you could just move your tokens when you want to move.
Bushes.
As we get down to here, you also notice over here that there is, over on the right-hand side of the screen.
I'm waiting for Briar because I'm on her shoulder.
Yeah, bro. I mean, yeah, you usually sort of lag behind on the moving your token thing, but
Am I to assume that I can
I'll
still
just move
talk?
Briar's token for
Sorry.
you. That's fine. But yeah,
Can
you
I
see that there is another one of those tall towers, a big one this time. This one is over in the center of the area. I'll just draw a line around it because you might not see where I'm pinging. This area here. This is a large black marble obelisk. It looks like it is a huge cylindrical tower that pierces the sky. It goes on beyond the clouds, and that feels impossible to you. You would have seen this if you were in any other part of the world because of just how big and tall it is, and yet you have no recollection of this. But it is impossibly tall and has no discernible windows, doors, or openings of any kind. It just looks like it is a smooth marble. Now then, you get towards this park, and you don't see any particular commoners heading in or out of here. You do, however, see Aurelie head to one of the bushes near one of the crystals, and is going to hide in a bush here. She whispers to one of you as you depart, I think Aldrin, as she's walking along with you. She'll be whispering in their ear that basically her plan is that she is going to take the first watch, that she is going to lie in wait in this bush near the crystal, and if anybody comes into the park that is not supposed to, that, you know, is not a member of your party, if it becomes dangerous, as like a word of warning, she is going to interact with this crystal and try and make it distract them in some way, but in what way she doesn't know now. But that's her plan. She's basically got a readied action She's going to touch
Mhm.
this thing if it comes to it.
Okie dokie.
What are the rest of you doing?
Aldrin will take their rest and then take second watch.
Take
Okay.
first watch because while I'm still a cat.
Okay, are
That way.
you where exactly in the park do you want to take your rest? Give me just
I want to.
indicate by moving your token.
I want to kind of wander around just to investigate a little bit while I'm pretty
Okay.
much doing plain sight.
Sniffing at
While you're
trees
incognito.
and looking
Yeah.
for some kind of, a lovely patch of sun to maybe lie down in and then go stand up and walk on a little bit further. Do your best cat-like impression.
Or go up to a door, scratch on it, and then just walk away when it's opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there is actually there are a couple of buildings in this area of the city that do actually have doors and walls. There is the building opposite you here. This you can see by the amount of paintings in the windows that this is an artist's atelier. That is where they basically there is an artist of this city who spends their time indoors there painting. Then there is a potions shop behind where it's basically where people will be educated in how to make potions. A little bit further beyond that, up at the top here, if I just draw another line around that, here is a stall where a gentleman is manning a cart with various potions and trying to sell things to people. Seems to be having a hard time doing it though. Like people don't want to know what he's after. And then here, just next to them, is another place where somebody will give you gold for things. And they've got like a cart that's brimming with small enough that you can't exactly rob them and be completely rich at the end of the day, but not not so much that not so little rather that you end up feeling like it's not worth talking to, that kind of a thing. And then at the back here we've just got your standard magic shop. So magic shop over here. So yeah, we've got a bunch of different things for you to maybe take a look at when you get towards the end of your rests. We're gonna take this first sort of shift then. So Areli and Isabel taking first watch, and then Aldrin joining midway. Ash, Briar, Ruby, whereabouts are you guys going to be trying to hide? Because it's going to be really down to you guys trying to do your hiding now, and how well you can maintain that position while unconscious.
I am going in a tree.
In a tree.
Ruby also wanted to go into a tree.
In
A
a
nice
tree.
thick, bushy tree.
I don't think Briar can go up a tree. It's too much armor.
And Briar is also going up a tree. Are you all
No,
going up
Briar
the
said
same
no.
tree?
No, I don't think I can. My armor's too heavy.
Oh, you can't go up a tree is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
well, you can remove your armor.
Whilst you guys do this, I'm just gonna go and grab a drink. I'll be back in a few.
Sure.
That sounds like something
So,
I don't want to do.
In
Sounds
D&D
scary.
mechanics, with heavy armor, it takes an hour to remove your armor.
Wow. Okay.
When it's heavy
That's-
armor. If it's
Yeah.
medium armor, then it's quicker, and if it's light armor, then it's like you can whip it straight off because it's just clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah, to like unbuckle every single like anchor point and to do all of that, like they actually allow for. I think I'm right in saying this, that they allow for it to be quicker if you have someone there helping you to remove it. But otherwise it takes an hour.
Meow.
Ash is a bird. They only fly away.
I'll
I
try
don't
to
know where
hide
home
like
is.
behind a tree then, like a big
Oh,
tree.
so you try and find like a dense copse of trees and sort of like wedge yourself in between them.
Yeah,
Okay,
'cause
I get you.
I don't think I have an hour to remove everything. So yeah,
Sure.
I think I'll just try to my best to hide.
I would
that
allow
way.
either a nature or a survival check for this. Normally I would say survival, but this feels like a nature or a survival for me. Because it comes down to your knowledge of nature as well as your ability to hide amongst it. So either one you want to do.
Okay, I'll do survival just because I have better skill on that.
Go for it.
Oh, I'm glad I
a
chose that.
dirty 22.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that with that, you know well enough that you can take some of the branches and like fallen brush here and sort of like put it over yourself. So that
Okay.
not only are you in between these trees, but you're also hidden sort of within the terrain so that none of the gleam of your armor should shine through too well, at least. It's not exactly a perfect, roll, but it's as damn near close to it as you can get in a perfectly manicured place with very few fallen branches. Ruby, what are you heading up to? We've got Ash as a bird in a tree,
In a
Briar
tree.
hiding between trees, and you're climbing a tree
I
as well.
am.
But which tree?
Yeah. The thickest, bushiest one.
So then give me a survival check to see if you can, or a perception check, either way, to see which one you can figure out is the absolute best. A 15's fairly decent. I think that you find sort of a moderately bushy tree. You don't find the absolute pinnacle, but you're not without it's not without use. And now, are you aiming mostly for stealth here or security? Are you trying to like tie yourself in or hide yourself as Briar did?
Stealth.
Then you can either give me a stealth roll or a sleight of hand, whichever one you feel would be better for you to hide with. Okay.
Balls.
So with a 12, you are going to be kind of well hidden. But it's not going to be, if someone actually tries to go out of their way to look for you, it won't be that hard. I would have said that if you'd gotten a really high stealth check, then you would have had the forethought to think, I'm wearing red, I have red fur, I should probably hide in an autumnal tree. And instead you're in one of the greener ones.
You know what? I just rolled such a good stealth roll earlier that Ruby's just riding this high
Yeah.
and then is went, I
Yeah.
don't have to think about trees. I'm a tiger, I can hide.
Do you know, you probably would know this, Ruby, and about a bunch of others of you would, but anyone who doesn't,
Probably.
this is an interesting little factotum, that the reason that tigers in the wild don't get spotted by their prey very often is because their prey are often dichromats instead of trichromats. So to their prey, the tigers actually blend into the surrounding brush because they look green. They don't look orange.
That's because they're colorblind.
That's exactly it, dichromats. So they can see two colours, they can't see three like we can.
That's
Isn't
cool.
that interesting? So yeah, you managed to hide fairly well, but you're not exactly sticking out like a sore thumb, but you're also not hidden away particularly well. So here we are. You've made it here. Now I need you three to make your long rest, actually including Aldrin because you're doing this first. So if the four of you could do your long rests, and then we're going to do a check. Long rest. And Briar, I need you to do the long rest as well. Take a long rest. Now we are going to roll a luck check. This luck check is going to be easier than the luck check that we are going to roll in a moment. So, I'm going to roll a d3. And if you roll a 3, then that's good luck. If you roll a 2, that's sort of moderate, not great. If you roll a 1, that's bad luck. Let's see what you roll. A 1. Okay.
No.
So it seems like there is a lot of hubbub and disruption and lots of noise. And you don't quite know what it is that's causing all of this. But Aldrin, you would be starting to stir as you sort of notice half of this. And then it would be getting to a concerning level as the rest of you are getting towards the ends of your long rests. So you each get to the ends of your 8 hours rest. Aldrin, it's up to you. I will allow you a roll on this next check if you don't do anything with Ferdinand Frog. If you do something with Ferdinand Frog to continue your progress with him, then you won't get a roll in this next check. And only Areli and Isabel will be able to roll.
I think right now Aldrin's more focused on keeping everybody safe
Right.
than training Ferdinand, and would
Okay.
hold off on training him right now because this doesn't feel like a safe spot to do that.
So then I will ask Isabel, would you rather do a perception check to see if you can see or hear what's going on around you, or an investigation check to see if you can figure out what is going on, but perhaps not the direction it's coming from?
Investigation.
Perception, because I got +2 to that.
Then roll your perception, please. Do you get any advantage with that as being a cat? I look that up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can I roll the investigation?
Cats get keen smell, so you get advantage on perception checks that rely on smell. So if you can describe for me exactly how you are going to be smelling something out on the wind, then I'll allow it, but otherwise we'll be just doing the flat roll. And Aldrin, you wanted to roll a investigation or a perception, sorry?
Investigation.
Yes, you can roll an investigation. It might tell you what is happening, but it won't tell you which direction it's coming from.
Okay.
Oh.
9.
No.
If I can, right, what I think I would try to smell for something that wouldn't fit in a perfect city. Something
Oh, very
different.
clever. Okay, I like that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I would have an idea what would be a perfect smell and what would be ordinary in a perfection world. So I'll be seeing if there's anything different.
I like
advantage?
that. Give me advantage, an advantage perception check then, and use your stats.
Never mind.
An 8. Okay, so Areli, I think, is more concerned with the direction, because hiding amongst things is what she does at her best, and it's definitely more important to know which side of a tree to hide on. Even if you don't know what's coming, it's better to hide and find out later. So she's going to go for that, and she's going to roll an 8 also. So unfortunately, Areli doesn't know what's going on, and it's going to come down to how well she can hold her nerve, whether she decides to detonate this crystal or not, to try and distract people. But things start to happen and mill around you. And you do notice that there are more and more people coming about. That there are, in fact, a lot more than you would have expected. That perhaps this is a little bit too unusual for you. A little bit too unusual to really abide. That you're finding that in a perfect city with perfect surroundings, with every tree preened and every bird missing in the sky, and every person on the ground as happy as can be, that there must be something about this place that is not perfect. Nowhere is this perfect. And nowhere can you see it any more than what happens to the north. You start to see that there are more and more people heading down in this direction towards the park. You find that there are not just commoners, but there are people of great status. That there are these people who are dressed in finery, and that they are calling themselves what seems to be the Collective. They are saying that they are here to do what they can, to do what they must, to be those few that you can trust. And they've got this whole thing where they're sort of like drumming against their chests and saying this all rhythmically like it's a chant that people should know. And half of the commoners do come with them. Half of them seem like they are in on this and they enjoy this and they feel like this is right for them to be a part of. But half of them sort of just leave themselves behind are not really all that interested, and they sort of just leave it all to everybody else. And why should they get involved, and why should they be in on this? And essentially, you end up with what seems like a group of guards surrounding these what do you call it? These sort of mages. Some of them a little bit more experienced than others, but they are headed down towards the center of this area, and they are calling themselves the Collective. They head towards you all and start heading in this direction, basically marching through everywhere. I will give you, shall we say, I'll give you, I don't want to put any pressure on anybody because I know that a lot of people have low spoons. I will give you 3 minutes from now, IRL, to decide what you are going to do before they get to a point where they will see or hear you. And I am setting a timer for this. Please go right ahead and talk.
What are we gonna do, guys? We gotta
I
move
mean,
fast, but not
I'm-
be
We
seen.
just head in the opposite direction.
I mean, keep going
Then
south.
let's just get out of here.
we don't know how far south they're going.
Oh, if they're going south, well, why don't we go northeast? Let's like wrap around and get out of their way.
What if they're going on that obelisk-y thing?
Yeah, should we not be near the obelisk?
Yeah, maybe getting away from that would be. My polymorph would have run out by now, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would have, yeah. Your wild shape, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Yeah, what I
or
mean.
were you doing a polymorph?
No, I was doing wild shape. Sorry, I mixed the two.
Yeah, no, you're all good. Yeah, so they are heading down towards you now. You've got another 2 minutes to discuss.
We could run west.
I think we should just run a direction away from here.
Anywhere that's not north.
Well, shall we just go west? Or shall we are we going to use the forest for cover by going west? Or shall we try and use the forest and the buildings for cover by going northeast?
Or I can just stealth us, give us bonus stealth.
So just to,
Probably
I'm
beneficial
not.
you cast Pass Without Trace anyway.
I've
Mhm.
paused the timer so that I'm not taking up any of your time, but I just do want to explain a little further that this is still a public park. Although there are trees here, and from above it looks like it's very well covered, you are still stood among the like trunks of trees, and this is still a very open space. So although top down it looks like you are within all of this brush, you are still in branches of trees, and when you hit the ground, you're going to be incredibly visible. So I'm going to put that in your mind and remind you that forests, although they are forests, are not always complete cover. And the timer will continue. You've got 1 minute 27.
Oh, no pressure then.
Do you want to cast Pass Without Trace, Serge?
Yeah, let me do that.
And
Okay.
which way are we going to go, guys?
Obelisk disease. I would say west seems to be our best option.
Hold on, I'm
West?
looking for it.
Aurelie
Then let's
pops.
just go west.
Aurelie pops her head out of the brush and is like, I don't know. I think that if Odin is going to find us, then we really should probably go in the direction that he said to go in. Because if we go south and then west, I think he's probably going to find it harder to find us. Honestly, I think
Which
the
way did
best
you say
bet that
again?
we have, if this comes down to it, the best bet that we have is to have Odin in the fight with us. So my idea is either we go north past these guys and try and stealth it through them, or we head south and hope that he finds us before this all goes into shit.
I suppose there
Let's
won't
go
be going
northeast.
south.
Northeast.
All right.
Northeast through the buildings? Okay, let's do it.
Mhm.
And with 15 seconds left, you make a decision in good time, and we are all grateful for it. Aurelie makes her way through here to follow with the rest of you. Ash, are you heading up as well?
Yeah.
These You hear the marching of these feet on the ground, and you hear the rhythmic banging on their chests as they like punch their own sternums, kind of thing, with a flat fist. And each of them, as they do, they're chanting these words, and you can see that there's a big hodgepodge and mixture of people here. That there are mages and priests and cultists and veterans and guards and just straight up commoners. That these people seem like they have a purpose and a mission, and they are headed south to do something somewhere. You don't know what, but they aren't stopping for anybody. People are being barged out of their ways. They're plowing through the community, or they're telling them to join them, one or the other. And these people march to the beat of their own drum as they thump, thump, thump their way across, just slamming on their own chests as they do. And you narrowly manage to avoid them, but we are still going to make you roll that stealth check. Pass without trace will give you a bonus of +10 to your stealth roll, just a flat 10. Not a d10, a flat 10. So as you roll your stealth check now, please add
Do
plus 10 in the bonus box that will come up.
Stealth.
It says situational bonus at the top
Plus 10. Normal.
I rolled a nat 1, I have to admit.
A nat 1, I think you would probably...
Yeah, I have a 17, but I got a nat 1.
Briar also rolled a nat 1, and Ash
Oh,
also
no.
rolled a nat
Fuck.
1. So we've got 3
Oh
people
my
who
god,
rolled
guys,
nat 1s.
what did we do?
So even with Pass Without Trace,
That's a lot of nat ones. Oh
you
my
get
god.
3
Wow,
nat 1s in the
guys.
group. I think that you
Yeah.
are... Like in a I nearly said forest, in a patch of like public park that is so perfect for what it is. They're like, you've somehow, all 3 of you managed to find the crispiest twigs to step on as you try and stealth your way across. And although they can't see you, they definitely hear you. And those that they do look over and see, they start to spot just immediately, and they stop in their tracks. And we are now going to roll that second look check that I said we were going to roll that would be not as easy to pass. This one is a D2 instead of a D3, which means that instead of it being 66% chance of good, this time it is 50-50. You either get good or you get bad. There is no in between.
Read it, I so good. Now.
They look over, and the leader of them says, "We have more important things to be about. We are not in the business of tracking these people down. But," and he points his hand over towards your direction, and with his other hand reaches it up to his mouth to try and throw his voice a little further. And with some thaumaturgy, you feel his wizardly... like the magic that he wields, he uses in a simple cantrip of thaumaturgy, but it still chills you to your bones as he brings out this thundering voice that says, "If you leave, you will not take a single step further." And they continue on south, bumping as they go. But they have registered your presence, and now the town is aware of you being here. Regardless of your stealth, everybody has their eyes on you, and they are looking at you as you are stood right next to this wizard's tall marble obelisk. Odin, we're going to go back to you now, and I'm going to ask you, what do you think that Odin is doing right at this moment?
I
David.
think he might go get a drink.
Yeah, but drinks don't take 20 minutes to get. Come on.
No,
David?
but I don't know. That's the last I knew.
Well,
Odin!
are you muted, David, or are you just not here? He's AFK, I think. My god. Well. Oh, wait, was that him?
Maybe the bean.
David, are you back? David?
I am now.
Hey, there we go.
We need you, Odin!
Perfect
Oh, you need
timing, I would say, if it was a moment earlier, but we're not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. I was just asking what you might be doing where you are at this point as Odin. The group have just narrowly escaped a group called the Collective, who are the sort of the rallying cry that will turn people to stone. But it seems like they have organized something and are marching somewhere south of there. The group have decided to stealth their way towards you, but on three nat ones, they have unfortunately alerted that group of the Collective to their presence. And although the Collective have not turned to fight them, they have pointed to them and have made the entire city aware of their presence. They are headed north now towards your point so that they can try and find you to try and get things under control and get your help. I'm wondering what Odin would be doing at this point. Are you still in the tavern drinking, or have you headed outside yet? It has been,
outside.
to give you an idea of time, it
Yeah.
has been the length of a full long rest. So it's been like 6 to 8 hours since.
Okay, yeah. In that time, Odin's definitely outside of the tavern, marching around, looking around, and being a bit of an loner, sticking out like a sore thumb, maybe, but still just walking about with his ravens.
Okay. I think that. Do you think that you might have headed south towards the park at this point? If so,
Yes,
I've put you on the map.
Yeah, because I've definitely been wanting to check in on how they're doing.
Okay.
Not
So
well.
you start to hear the chatter of people around you, of commoners in this area, who are all saying, like, whispering and pointing. And now that they have started to say things about the group, which you quickly intuit is about the group, because what other unusual people with birds and things would you have seen coming through here? You notice that more and more commoners are starting to gather in this area, and it's becoming a little bit too much of a conversation point for everybody here. What do you think you might do? Because right now you can't see where the group are.
Yeah. So as I hear people chattering and moving about, I follow those noises and head towards the kerfuffle that is going on.
So I'll need you to give me either an insight check or an investigation check to see if you can figure out or intuit exactly which direction that this is coming from and what happened.
Yep. Let's do an insight check then.
Go for it. 16. You can tell that the march went south of you. You only know that much.
Yeah. So I continue south because I know that the group is there in the south at the park, but I've probably figure out that they've gotten themselves in some sort of trouble. So I keep on marching south.
Cool.
I head.
Are you headed there with any kind of
pathway.
haste to try and find the group quickly, or are you headed there in any other kind of manner?
I'm going to be a bit of a move a bit hastily because I know they're probably in trouble. But I'm also moving kind of angrily because I feel like they have been incompetent enough to stir up trouble. The first thing they do.
Okay, I will ask then for you to give me a charisma saving throw.
Charisma saving throw. All right, let's see. Where do we have the charisma?
Top of the sheet.
Top of the sheet. Top of the sheet.
You click charisma and then click saving throw. It'll do it for you.
Do I need to? Hang on. Click it. I clicked it. Roll mode. No.
Normal.
Is that not it? Normal. Yep.
Oh, you did a charisma ability check.
Oh.
So do you have a?
There it
saving
is.
throw is underneath it.
Yeah. I accidentally pressed the wrong one. There we go.
Well, you don't actually have... So it looks like you don't have proficiency in it anyway, so we'll take the first roll. So a 13 is not above the 15 that I was looking for. You are... as you start to feel that you are getting angered by this whole situation, unfortunately, your sort of latent godlike power starts to get the better of you. and
Yeah.
you feel that the lovely sunny sky is starting to become more of a miasma of grey, and that
Yeah.
there is the sound of rolling thunder occurring behind you as you stride through this place. And the people around you are now going to roll perception checks to see whether they can recognize that the person striding through in such anger and causing the weather to change in their wake is in fact Odin. They are going to need to roll particularly well. They're going to have to roll a 15 or higher, which because these guys are commoner stats, that still means that they have to roll a nat 15 on the die, and I'm only going to give them 2 rolls for this, 1 for each group. So the first of them gets a 4, and the second group gets a 4. So they haven't spotted you immediately, but they can tell that there is something going on. And the whispers and pointings towards this cluster of buildings here in the middle has now changed towards whisperings of the sky above. And I think that it's that, their gaze turned upwards, that helps you to slip by unnoticed. But you do start to hear people talking about people in between these buildings here. Yeah. The ones just south of you.
Yeah. So as Odin hears that, he is going to slip in between these buildings and try to locate the party.
And we now return back to the party. You are trying your best to not get seen as 2 ravens fly out from behind the corner and startle you immediately as you see them before you see the Yule Father, Grimner, Odin. What do you think that your reaction might be to seeing 2 ravens just immediately jump out of a building from you?
Relief, because I know there's Odin.
Good stuff. I think Ruby
Panic
might have
ever so
fainted
slightly.
because Ruby is upside down. But yeah,
Ruby had a
see how
terrible nat
everybody
1
else-
stealth check
You did. You fully did.
because she was flipping the way through. She's
Yep.
trying to have fun.
Yep.
Cartwheels.
Cartwheels. It'll get you every time. Cartwheels, not even once.
One does not simply get into stealth range.
Like crystal meth. You just not even once. Don't do it.
Whoa, calm down.
Wow, a
Don't
nat
mind
20.
my
A nat 20. A nat 20 cartwheel. A nat 20 cartwheel.
People are aware of you, but they're also impressed.
Yeah. You hear one of the commoners turn their gaze from the sky towards you and just start, like, they stare at you incredulous for a moment, but then you realize that they're actually stunned by how impressive that was, and they give you a slow clap that they're just like, they don't really know how to react apart from, that was fucking glorious, and we love that. So we're just, like, clapping you.
It's like,
You're welcome.
I paid
Very
good money
nice.
to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now Odin, the Ravens, and the group are reunited. 4 of you have had long rests. Isabel and Areli have not. What do you all do?
Probably won't be long until I want to pass out.
Also for a level of exhaustion.
Did Isabel say that or Jen say that?
I said that.
Okay. Ruby was very tempted to slap you to stop you from passing out, you see.
I mean, I'd love to, we're still under attention, right? I can't exactly just fall asleep while people are gazing at me.
Are you asking Ruby to slap Isabel in the face?
Yeah, go on, and slap me, wake me up, come on.
Alright, I'm on my way.
This is gonna go one of 2 ways.
Yeah, give me an attack roll. A 17.
That hits, I don't even need to look at that.
Well, yeah, your AC is 15 as a
Are
human.
you slapping me with your
But
feet?
as
You're
a
still upside
cat,
down.
As a cat, your AC is 12.
Maybe
So I think that your wild shape had already dropped, hadn't it? Yeah, your wild shape had already dropped, so I guess you're not in a cat stats anymore, but yeah. Just so you're aware, the first level of exhaustion is that you get disadvantage on ability checks. And if you go on beyond this point without having a long rest, then Aurelie and Isabel will both be on the first level of exhaustion. So having disadvantage on ability checks. So that's athletics, stealth, perception, etc. Just abilities.
Okay. So they
It
need
won't
to rest,
affect.
but we also need to
Yeah.
get going and hide.
Yeah. You won't regain your like rage and your spells, spell slots and stuff like that. You won't regain your HP. You won't heal from effects that are affected by rest, etc. But your attack rolls won't be affected. You'll still be able to use potions, etc. You're all good in that regard. But that's where you are at the moment. You're now without somewhere to hide. You've gained the attention of a rebel faction within the city. You are being noticed by members of this city. I would suggest, as your DM and friend, that remaining here for much longer is probably a bad idea.
We need to go
Snow.
north. Well, we have Odin.
Still
Which way we need to
upside
go,
down.
Odin?
That is a
Thanks.
good question. Can Odin do maybe a history check to see if he knows any good places to hide?
Sure.
Eesh.
You know of the location of places in the city. You wouldn't really have thought about places to hide, as you kind of tend to wander. Odin is not known for being stealthy. Odin is known for being a wanderer. And so you kind of are more of the kind of person who just walks around, to be honest. Which
Yeah.
makes sense with this history check. So you know that south of you is the castle.
Yeah.
That's where the main hub of this city is, Summergate. That there is a not a particularly large castle, but it's well appointed and it's on a hill. It's got a stone bridge that you need to go across to be able to get to the entrance. So it's not the kind of place that you can just storm from any side. It's well guarded in that respect. You also know that the city, as you are at the moment, doesn't change much around the place. It's kind of just a communal space where people sell things and act the good person around each other. But there's always that something that is unsaid, that is unspoken, that is unknown about everybody around you that you've never quite been able to put your finger on. And with an 11, you wouldn't know now. And besides that, you know that there aren't that many places besides where you've already been that you could really think about, in those terms. So it would be the farmhouse that you guys have already passed, the mists before that, the coastline before that, or back to the tavern, or the park, or the castle. Like those are the places that you know. You just would need to figure out how you're going to hide there to get the sort of attention off you, if you like.
Yeah. Odin says to the group, I mostly wander around this place, but I suggest that heading north, perhaps at least to the farmhouse for now, to see if potentially you can hide in there until things die down. However, I know we're in a bit of a bind here, and I will try and help you get out of here. And as he says that, Odin contemplates using a spell to help them hide themselves and perhaps obscure the party so that they can move a bit more freely and have maybe a bit of a leg up on the crowd.
Okay. What spell?
And I was thinking about using Fog Cloud.
Ooh. Okay.
And
How might you apply that spell?
so in this regard, as Odin in this sort of rage is drawing more and more attention to himself because he's feeling like now I have to do this for this lot. He sort of agrees in his own mind to meet the crowd sort of head on and draw a bit of attention away from the party by all of a sudden dispersing this fog cloud in the middle of the crowd.
Okay, so you're sort of trying to use it more as a distraction than as cover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so that I distract and confuse the people enough for the party to escape and hopefully potentially eventually as well get out of there.
So
myself.
what kind of thing are you trying to just give me sort of like your idea in your mind's eye of how this would look? Like, are we looking at something that looks like it blends into the environment as just a patch of fog, or are we looking at like word for word what the spell says, a 20-foot sphere of fog?
More to the kin of the wording of the spell. A 20-foot, like Odin goes to
So like a ball of grey gas, basically, grey vapor,
exactly.
to look completely out of look completely out of place. Okay,
yeah,
that makes sense to me.
Before I do this, I tell Hugin and Moonin to help the party to find their way back to the farmhouse and scout a bit ahead, and tell Ash if the farmers are there at the moment, or if the potential to hide maybe in the barn or the farmhouse can be done. So
glorious feathers, farmhouse. Glorious feathers. Glorious feathers.
Yes, and there's good seeds in it for you.
Seeds.
Now go scout ahead.
Moonin flies off. Hugin stays behind. So Moonin is going to go ahead and scout the farmhouse, and will report back and speak to Hugin and then to Ash.
Part of me wanted to like look at Odin and be like, "Me, scout? Okay, I don't know what I'm doing though."
Hugin, on the other hand, is going to stay with the party and is essentially going to give you a distraction so that you so that sort of the group in general are going to get advantage on their stealth checks. So that will mean that Isabel and Aurelie will still be rolling flat because you have suffered a level of exhaustion, but you will it means that you won't be rolling at disadvantage. So you're getting the help action, and because they don't stack but they do cancel, that means that you're getting disadvantage and you're getting advantage, which means you get just a flat roll. So at least you're not rolling at disadvantage. You still have Pass Without Trace active, so you all get the +10 bonus, and we will just roll this once now so that we can get either a group check, or if anybody wants to go out on their own, I will allow that. Up to you. But you are going to be guided north if you stay with the group by Hugin. If you go out on your own, you're not going to be benefiting from that advantage.
Group check.
I'll go with the Hugin.
Okay.
So that's a stealth with the +10.
So it's a stealth with advantage +10.
Unless you're me.
Unless you're Shen or Aurelie.
Not bad.
Okay.
Ooh.
We got a 30, 18, 19, 23, and another 30, and a 35. Holy shit. You guys don't just blend in, you guys disappear. You are the wind, you are the fog, you are the night. You're like fucking Batman, only it's daytime.
Go
and
from
we've
nat
got
ones to 30s.
Exactly, right? Exactly. This is what happens when you get the help of a fucking god. So you also get a 20-foot sphere of fog. So if you could just tell me, David, where exactly you want this to be so that it's distracting well enough. Are we talking like
in
up
between
here?
these? Yeah, as
Like here?
Odin goes, yeah, exactly, right there, just so that it's just disperses out in front of the crowd. They can't see between the buildings.
So I would say that if you're trying to make this look mystic, then it's going to be like swirling edges and rough You know, like it's not completely
Mm.
filling the full sphere radius that it can. But
Mm.
if you're just looking for a spectacle, then having a
Yeah.
perfectly smooth sphere of fog is such a fucking mindfuck that I think that enough people would just stare at it. So
Yeah.
you just it's going to work either way. You just tell me how you want it to work.
Yeah. So I want it to be so enormously just perfectly swelling out of the being of Odin to just it just embodies everything that fog can be. It's just a big cloud that is so dense that it's just you can't even as you see like on the map there's a person on one side and then there's two people on the other. They can no longer see each other. And that
Yes.
is just
There's actually a
so
third guy up here that's just peeking out.
yeah.
They all run
they
up
all-
towards the edge of this sphere and they all just start
Yeah.
like touching the edge of it. Each one of them's
Yeah.
just like, oh, smoky ball. Oh, look at the smoky ball. I've not seen
Yeah.
a smoky ball before. This is a really good smoky ball. One of the women there is like, okay, but how do we get it home? Because I want this.
Yeah.
I think that this would look really, really good in the living space. Don't you? Well, yes, but don't we already have that smoky ball? Yes, but that's only like 5 inches across. This is like 20, 40? I don't know numbers. It's big anyway. This is a big fucking ball. I want this ball at home. Are you not going to make efforts to collect it for me? Well, look, I'll do what I can, but it's a big ball of smoke. How the fuck do you capture a big ball of smoke? Plus, there's a dude in the middle of it. What am I supposed to do about the fucking old dude in the middle of it? And this conversation continues on as you guys sneak by. These weird commoners are just trying their absolute best to try and capture smoke in their pocket and take it with them. We will then go on to the next area. You head back up to the farmstead, which will activate now for you. So you are now back at the farmstead. I'm just going to move a bunch of you so that you are together. I've just accidentally put Aurelia in there, and I need to get Odin. Odin, are you staying behind, or are you? You said that you were staying behind with the fog, right? Or are you going
Yeah.
with the group to be at the farmstead?
I'm gonna stay behind and I'm gonna meet them at the farmstead.
Okie dokie.
So I'm gonna stay for a little bit and then rejoin.
Great. So we've got the group. We're going to move the group just down here a little bit so that you're not quite at the farmstead yet. But as you approach it, you see Moonin flaps back and gets towards you all and has some words with Hugin. And Ash, you can overhear what they're saying. There's lots of repetition, so I won't repeat all of it. But essentially, they're just saying, there's nobody here. There's nobody here. There's nobody here.
Okay.
Lots of food, though. Lots of food. Lots of food. You would find it unusual, though, the wording that they use in Arakocra. They don't use the word food. They use a specific word that kind of alights to the same meaning. But essentially what they say is there's lots of carrion.
Oh, ew. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you alright, Ash?
There's a lot of carrion where we're going.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Here we go again. Okay. Is there people?
They didn't say. They just said carrion, and it was empty.
So it is empty. There's no people then.
I think it might be dead people.
Oh.
No people. No people. No people.
Here we go
No
again.
people. Snacks. 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 Food. Carrion.
Snacks, food,
Is
carrion, no
there
people.
undead people?
I'm gonna ask. I ask him, undead people?
No, not undead. Not undead. Not undead. Not undead.
Not undead.
Okay.
Food. Lots of food. 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 No
Lots
people.
Lots of food.
No people.
Food,
No living people.
Okay. No living people. No living people. Is there dead people?
Dead people? Does
I
Ash
think
say
that's
that?
the food. No, I'm just not gonna reply. I'm just gonna be like, I think that's the food. You want me to ask?
I don't know if I want to know.
Um,
But should we know before we
dead
go?
people?
Moonin starts to do the thing that birds do for their young, where they like regurgitate food, and starts to like open up its beak and like hot, 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 and brings out a half digested finger from someone and just coughs it up on the ground.
Yeah, dead people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yummy.
that's your answer.
All right then.
Ruby fails the Constitution save and throws up.
Yeah,
Oh,
Ruby throws
bleh.
off herself.
Okay, I've got a roll for not for the dead thing, but for Ruby being sick.
Oh no!
I actually
I should
have a
probably put
vivid
on the
memory. You
refuse
fail
button
as
on
well,
it,
yeah.
let's be
Bleh.
You fail as well. I vividly remember, this is just a thing from my own life. In primary school, when I was in like the first year of school, and I must have been 4 years old, and I remember being sat next to a friend, and we were in the reading room, which was a carpeted room where we would be read stories, and we used to sit on these wooden benches around the walls of the room. And he spontaneously, with no trigger, no reason, just threw up on the carpet next to me. And the sight of it, I had a beat, and then I did the same. And ever since that point, I was just awful with sick. And now, when I became a nurse, it never went away, and I was always struggling to help people who were throwing up. And like you've got to have like a sturdy, you know, a steel spine as a nurse when it comes to simple things like bodily fluids. But Jesus fucking Christ, was that bad?
Yeah, I
I'm
can't
so
handle
glad
that
I'm not.
either.
Yeah, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore.
No, I heard it being described as having a sympathetic, or being a sympathetic vomiter. Like when
Right?
somebody gets sick, I get sick.
Yeah.
I
makes
feel
sense
sick.
to me.
I don't think I've ever actually been sick from sympathy.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that conversation, that delightful conversation.
That was so riveting.
Yeah, I know, right?
Sidetrack.
Flavor of the past. Maybe not. Maybe flavor is the wrong word.
Yeah.
So we now get to a point where you have to decide what you're going to do. You know that this farmhouse is clear of people, or living people at least. It is now your decision what you are going to do about the dead ones that are in there. Are you going to stay here, knowing that it is an empty place, but also knowing that there are dead people here? Or are you going to move on somewhere else?
I mean,
There we go.
hmm.
I
Can
like
we
we've
burn
never
them or
seen dead
bury
people
'em?
before.
I know the undead is popping up all over the place thanks to Ragnarok.
Yeah, so burn them and bury them so they can't pop up.
And if the crows ever go, we say we're cooking the meat for them.
Yeah. Right?
Meat tasty when cooked.
But not human meat.
They might not care.
Okay, how would you know that?
Hugin has fully eaten a
I'm just-
finger and then regurgitated it in front of you. And they are probably thousands of years old, so you get the impression that this wouldn't be the first time that they've eaten a human.
I wouldn't want to, is what I'm saying.
Yo, you won't eat it, but they probably will. You guys are the Gouda guys. You eat cheese. This is
Yeah.
well known. This much is known.
Cheese.
We're vegetarian.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Cheesetarian. Oh no, no.
He actually is
cheesetarian, no.
vegetarian IRL, aren't you? You a veggie.
I mean, vegetarian
yeah.
doesn't mean not
Mm.
eating any.
Vegetarian.
It just
I know
means
that's
no.
vegan.
Yeah.
Vegan would
Yeah.
be the one you couldn't.
I know.
have.
I
Well, no,
wasn't,
there's cheese
hey
out there
man,
without dairy.
I wasn't claiming that. I was just saying that eating cheese is vegetarian, and so you have a vegetarian diet, and so does
Well,
beef.
some cheese is not.
Yeah,
Depends on
because
the
you
cheese.
have. It depends on the.
This is
'cause-
very complicated vegetarian politics here.
Yeah, because they have rennet, don't they? They have animal rennet in some of them.
Indeed.
Yeah, and you don't want animal rennet in your cheese if you're a veggie.
No.
But that's
I
fine.
don't know what that is.
It's an ingredient used in the processing of cheese. And it is a
Like
part of the stomach lining of a baby animal.
Oh,
A
That's
calf
unfortunate.
usually. And yeah, they slaughter them for the rennet, but you can do it in vegetarian ways, which is why I don't understand it. Thankfully, my favorite
bother.
cheese, my favorite cheese, Applewood cheese, is vegetarian, and all of the cheese that they use and sell in the NHS is apparently vegetarian cheese.
cool.
Press X to doubt.
Well, yeah, you can never be sure on which hospitals. How do you always manage to do this, B? How?
Right. This was completely by accident. I tried to zoom in, and then I'm sorry. We were talking about cheese and the NHS, and I had
Right.
many opinions on this subject.
Yeah, well.
Mixed cats flip.
So, we've still not come to a decision on what you guys are going to do. We had some talk about you burning bodies and burying them, but you are still stood out in the open discussing this. While
I feel
the
like
day
in the
goes on
time
around
they've
you.
been discussing it, maybe Odin has rejoined the party.
I would think so too, to be honest, because they are this, as you'll get to know, David, is a party that likes to stand around and make decisions for a long time, which is something that you also liked to do in your campaign, if you remember.
Oh, I remember vividly.
Yes, I
I
remember
just say we
too.
go.
Yes, David is definitely one of you. Definitely the same sort of mindset
One of us.
in
One
a
of us.
PC.
Yay.
But yeah, Odin reappears.
Yeah. Maybe
uh,
even questions why they're still standing around here.
We need to
Why?
get rid of the bodies.
All of these messages move my fucking point of view every time you type in chat. I'm gonna kill all of you. This is gonna be a TPK. The next one of you
Yeah,
that
I've
does
done
something in
anything.
brackets. The next one of you that does something in brackets in the chat. There we go. There we fucking go. Right. You're my first target. I'm gonna kill you first.
I'm pretty sure I always have been. Like that's no shock to
Starting
me.
sound
Yeah.
like it's
Right.
On the
Odin
postcard, you
arrives.
can punish him in real life.
Let's
Yeah.
get on with it. Odin arrives. Conversation. Discuss what you're gonna fucking do. We've been here for 20 minutes and you've not decided shit.
Odin says, why are you still standing around out here? Get inside and hide. Those people, dumb as they may be, won't stand around forever. And that fog that they've tried to capture for some reason to have as decoration is now gone. So get on with it.
What about the dead
Fine.
people?
Let's just get inside. If there's dead people
Deal
around,
with
they're
the
not
dead
likely to do
people.
anything.
Deal with the dead people later. Get inside now.
Okay.
Hugin and Moonin love the idea of this, and they go back to snacking on someone that they've found inside.
I've told them to stop doing that, but I never really managed. Oh well.
As you enter the,
Are they doing this in front of Ruby? By the way, are they snacking on a
Yes.
person in front of Ruby?
I'm about to describe it, but you already moved your token inside, so I'm going to describe it now for you.
I got on that one.
You throw up as you walk in. Ruby is struck by the smell of burning human. It seems like part of your job has already been completed for you. As you arrive at the doorway here, you start to notice something first and foremost. The burning smell of wool and fabrics. As you enter in through the door, you see that one of the people who ran this place, or owned this place at the very least, is partially basically head first into this fireplace. Whether he was killed beforehand or after would be the subject of a medicine check, but it seems like he is being partially singed at least and is being cooked by the fireplace here. His corpse is being picked clean by the two ravens, who are having a lovely time of it. The rest of the place feels like any other rustic farmhouse to you. It seems like there is like a muddied flagstone floor. It looks like it's well cleaned, but also well used. So a lot of the dirt has just been ground into the stonework and into the grout. There is a table here that is made for dinner. You can't be sure when, but it looks like the food has begun to spoil. There are other signs of use of this place, like a boot stand by the door, wrought iron, maybe made by some fancy blacksmith, but not in any fancy style. These people were certainly rustic in nature, as you can see that they don't have particularly well-appointed furniture around the place. They have a bedroll in the corner. There is a hammock midway through the house. There aren't any separate rooms here. This is the room in this house, and it is filled with chests and just crates. There is a fireplace, but that's about the only thing here that has any kind of form or function, because that seems like that's where they boil their water, cook their food, and that would be that. But one of them has been laid waste to this fireplace, and the rest, you don't know where they are right now. Hugin and Moonin will not be helping from this point on, as they are far too consumed with the love of this body that they are willfully cleaning up for you. The rest of you, as you enter the room, notice that Ruby has stepped in so hastily and so shocked by the sight that she sees that she has also vomited immediately upon seeing it.
Some shit for
fuck?
brains
Oh,
called
Ruby.
physical masthead just got
Oh,
yeeted
no.
because of spam detected. Physical
Well,
masthead sat in the
I'm
corner
not
for
cleaning
10
that up.
seconds and now they're allowed to
I'll give her a
rejoin
rub
the
on the
cubes
back.
table.
An awful, awful smell is just stuck in your nostrils at this point. The smell of burning human.
that's not pleasant. But loot the boxes.
Aldrin goes around to looting immediately. These
Oh, that
people are-
stinks. Well, let's go loot.
Why
Yeah.
not? You guys did.
There's Aldrin, give me a perception check as you get up towards this crate.
Oof.
Okay.
Not a mimic, is it?
It is certainly a chest of some kind.
Uh-oh.
You don't notice anything peculiar about it. Nothing strikes you as unusual.
Can I open it?
Yeah.
Alright. I would like to open it. What do I do?
You open it quite easily. It's not locked, and it doesn't grab for you. But what you do see inside is the bundled up remains of another person who lived here, crammed into this chest and with the lid closed. They have not been burned in the fire. They are just in a full state of decomposition.
Ew. I'm just gonna put the lid back on it.
The rest of you now can smell what just hit the
That's
room.
another dead guy.
There is no longer just the smell of burning flesh. There is now the smell of rotten flesh accompanying it.
Please don't roll another Constitution saving throw, Ruby.
I think at this point,
It
Ruby's
was the
just...
vision, I think. Ruby's fine with smells. That's all right.
Yeah.
It's vision.
I think Ruby's probably gonna end up with some kind of cyclical vomiting problem if we continue with any more failed Constitution
Yeah.
saving throws.
So, like Ruby's
Everybody-
dairy is like in a hot mountainous region. Like smell is fine.
I would, however, remind
Everybody
you all
else was
though.
burnt, but what happened to this guy?
I would remind you all though that you do have magic.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to roll them up in a carpet and stick them in your boot. You know what I mean? You can legit just like clean this shit up using magic.
Anyone got prestidigitation? What have you?
With detect magic, you don't sense any kind of magic in this area. No, nothing latent, nothing in trace amounts, apart from Hugin and Moonin clearly have very magical eyes, and the same can be said for the Yule Father. Has one very magical eye, an incredibly magical staff, and has a bag of holding over his shoulder. He also is wearing other adornments which are just sort of generally magical. Weapons and clothing and I'm just going to remove this big old red circle so we can see the map properly. Okay, so yeah, you have seen that there are 2 people dead in here. It seems like they have been undergoing various forms of decomposition, one by fire and one by just straight up decay. But I would also remind you that you are magic users, almost all of you, and you have the ability to dispose of, if not, deal with in some way these bodies before you get down to lying low for a bit. Is there anything that
I
any
can
of
melt
you
them
want
with
to do?
acid.
That's an option.
No.
Any other ideas that any of you have got? Let's bring them up because we're at the end of the session time now.
No magical ideas from Ruby.
Let's see.
I haven't got anything magical that can help with cleaning, unfortunately. Unless I go all Snow White and a magical friendships of animals.
I'm not going to say no to that.
Yeah, but you said this is a perfect place, and surely apart from these 2 crows, which I'm guessing I can't animal friendship.
Well, all it comes
Anyone
is to
like teleport it away?
Just toss it outside.
Thaumaturgy wouldn't work, right? Because that's
No.
just.
This prestidigitation might work, but I don't know if anyone's got that.
prestidigitation might, yeah.
Yeah,
a
I don't have
fireball.
Yeah, I don't have that
Fire.
either.
Yeah, we're going to evacuate if you do that.
Let me just have a quick look at what we've got on Odin's list.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything for me.
Mm.
Yeah, you do actually have something that might help.
Mm-hmm.
You've got
Hmm?
Unseen Servant.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at that one.
You also have Misty Step if you're willing to carry one of the bodies while you do it. Because you can carry objects with a Misty Step, but
As
it only
Odin
goes
is a
30
bit
feet.
of a prick and seeing himself as beyond doing meaner tasks, I believe he would cast Unseen Servant.
Which is exactly why I gave you that spell, because I knew that Odin would never demean himself by doing the serving himself.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can just, if you just cast that spell for me, then you can mark that one off. And then you guys basically have the time for the remainder of this session, which is another 5 minutes, there or thereabouts, to strategize what's going to happen next, or to, just take some rests if you want to.
Yeah, can me and Riley take a nap, please? Or sleep.
Sure. So yeah, let's see what you want to do. We'll also argue as well that so long as this spell has been done, which it has, then we don't need to discuss much more of the much more of the bodies being here. The place is now clean. The servant does all of that for you. It's sterile. It's now fit for use. There's no need to worry about any of that. There won't be any con saves or anything that you need to worry about in terms of catching or anything along those. Hugin and Moonin are also of the same mind, and they clearly notice that there is no longer any food for them in here, so they are going to follow the unseen servant outside to where these bodies are being disposed of, and are going to pick them clean while the unseen servant does its job.
Yeah. As they leave, Odin is going to tell them to try to keep an eye out. I know you're going to be munching away, my little friends.
They don't pay you any attention whatsoever.
Yeah.
They just go outside. They want nothing but meat right now.
Yep. Well, I tried.
You did. You did.
So are we taking enough time for the rest of the party to get long rest?
If you
I'm
wish to
taking
take
everything.
yeah, if you want to take a day, then you can take a day and you can do that.
Yeah.
I'm taking
Okay.
sleep. Do I long
And
rest?
then does that mean that I can train Ferdinand?
Yes.
I'm going to take a long rest.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can take a long
That's
rest.
a
Odin
normal
can take a
roll?
long rest if you want to rest with these people as well.
He will. He's strained himself for a while now, so he will take a long rest. Let's see, where do I do that?
Okay. 10 off that. You are now down to 31 out of 100.
Nice.
Where
Let's
do I
go.
take a long rest?
Also, he will become a
A
familiar.
little tent up at the top of the sheet.
Yeah.
In
He's going to
between
become
the
a familiar,
fork
but
and
he's not going to
knife and
Ah,
be.
there we go.
He's going to become a familiar, but he's not necessarily going to have, like, you know, an amazing stat block, and he's not going to be able to speak and stuff like that. So he's still going to be a frog. He will just be a
Yeah.
helpful frog.
Yeah.
But you can then
He'll
build
be
on
able
that.
to aim on his own.
Right, but you'll be able to like build on that and work with him over time and gradually train him up even further if you continue to work on this. But for the time being, yes, he is.
This is his level 1.
He is very nearly there. He's starting to really like. He's starting to really feel like more of a pet than being just a frog on your shoulder, and he's really like turning it up in terms of like paying attention to things that you're helping him with as you train him.
Good job.
Odin, you pull up a pew and just start snoozing wherever you are.
Yeah.
What do the rest of you want to do? You can obviously long rest as well if you wish. Again, you can take shifts to make sure that you all get through it. Okay. But this will take you through to the night time.
Odin's just gonna sit in a corner and just be.
Because you can't do. Yeah, you would be using a full day to do this because it would basically mean since you can't take a long rest rapidly back to back, you can only do one per 24-hour period in game time. You would need to wait until night time for some of you to be able to take your long rests because you just did it. So yeah, you'll be spending a full day here. Is there anything that the rest of you get on with while Aldrin is training Ferdinand?
Ruby will be keeping an eye outside because of how freaked she was by the burning dead flesh inside. Is going to be like pretty much constantly scanning the outside
Mm-hmm.
for just any indication of anything sus.
Okay. And the rest of you? Ash, Briar?
I think I would turn back into a bird and like fly around to try to get a little bit of a lay of the land.
Mm-hmm. Cool. While you're doing that, you notice that Hugin and Moonin are starting to get to there's nothing left because what there was has now been dealt with by the unseen servant, and they're just like they've got a small bone that they're fighting between the two of them. But they're not. It's not. Doesn't look like they're poorly fed. It just seems like they're enjoying the fun of it.
All right. That's birds for you.
Yeah, well, ravens as well, because like corvids like to play, don't they? They like lie on their backs and hold feet with each other and just like play around, and they're like very intelligent and they enjoy recreation.
They're
So
silly
these
and
are no
they're
different.
smart.
Yeah, these are no different. Very clever, and they enjoy their time together, and they are like twins. So you know they're sort of Hugin and Moonin are like male and female twins in this world. So they're like they're like that with each other. They're brother and sister.
I don't know. Part of me would want to maybe try to like whittle them a puzzle or something that they could play with.
They seem incredibly receptive to this. What do you think you would whittle them?
Like one of those like make a tube out of like a piece of wood
Yeah, love
to
that.
put like a treat or something in the middle and have them figure out how to get it out.
I love that.
And have it like attached to something so they can't just like pick it up and shake it out.
They're fully entranced by the idea of it, and it takes them no time to figure it out. but they also like replace the thing back in there themselves so that they can try it again. And they end up being like properly good at it, but they are fully entertained. Great job. Briar, is there anything else that you wanted to do? I know that you've been struggling to reach out to Ear lately. Was there anything that you wanted to do with that?
Yeah, I would just be trying to continue, like, trying to figure that out. I know, like, the last dream that I had was of nothing. And so Briar would still just kind of be weighing that out, like,
Mm-hmm.
well, if I can't reconnect with Ear, what am I going to do? Am I going to, tell nothing that I would like to learn more or join up with them?
I would also
Um,
You mean the
suggest...
friend?
Yeah, that's what you mean
yeah.
by nothing, isn't it? Yeah. So I would also
Yeah, the
suggest...
spider.
I would also suggest that you do have a sibling of Ears in the room with you.
Yeah, Ash.
Odin.
Oh, Odin, okay.
Like
Okay.
literal sibling.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, you
So
could
maybe I would talk
potentially,
to
like,
Odin and
bring this conversation up with Odin, yeah, about Ear.
yeah.
What can I... Just so that we can, like, prepare for next week, because I think that we're
Mhm.
running over session time at this point. What kind of questions do you think that Briar would have about Ear or Odin?
I think the most pressing question that Briar would be thinking of is, like, I am pure cleric, I haven't multi-classed, why am I struggling to connect to my god?
Yeah.
Has my god given up on me for some reason? Like, why am I struggling so much when it comes to religion?
Can I ask,
And
do you specify which god?
yeah, I
Or
think
just god
so.
in
I
general?
think I
You
would.
think...
I would
Okay,
mention it.
cool. Just so that gives us more of a direction, because then I can prepare David with what information he needs to know. Aldrin's
Looking
helping with
forward to it.
Ferdinand. Ruby's looking out the window, trying to, pensively keep away from all of the thoughts of bodies. Isabel, anything in particular that you're doing?
Sleeping.
Just sleeping. Okay. You take the full
Yeah,
night of
I got
sleep.
exhausted.
You just a long rest would be enough to remove a level of exhaustion, but you just spend like a full 24 hours. I think that you've been so like keyed in with wolves that you've now that you've taken on the visage of a cat, that now you've left it a little bit too long in cat form, and you've left sort of like it's had a little bit of an impact on you, where now you want to sleep for 18 hours. Maybe that's to do with the exhaustion, maybe that's to do with being a cat. Who's to say? But you have a proper long lie in the sun where you can, in this lovely hammock. You tried to let the thoughts of what was in here when you arrived slip from your mind, and it does so incredibly successfully. You have a wonderful sleep, not interrupted by any friends coming in and talking to you at all. And the rest of you, again, have that same feeling that you might be dealing with something personally, privately, but for at least this moment, this little patch of the world is undisturbed by too much. At least that is until you start to hear the drumming on the horizon again as the next day comes. And we're going to leave that until next week's session. I was going to bring you back here tomorrow. Oh my god. No, next week's session. Oh my god.
We've got a special one
Surprise!
tomorrow, haven't we?
Oh my god, a two-day special.
That would
What
be
is
for
this?
that would be for the finale of the thing.
Oh my god.
When
Yeah.
else would I would have time to watch Reacher? I haven't had time to watch the new episode.
Oh, there's a new episode today, isn't there? I need to
Yes,
watch
there
that as
is.
well. God damn.
Oh,
I haven't
I've been
watched
loving the season so far.
I haven't watched any of so I haven't watched Captain America the new one. What is it?
I haven't
New
either.
World Order, whatever it is.
Brave New World.
That's it, Brave New World. And I also haven't seen Daredevil Born Again.
Oh, I just saw the latest episode. Oh.
I need to get on it. I don't have Disney Plus, and I don't have a friend who would go to the cinema with me or the money to be able to do that. So either
I
way,
would go to the cinema in another
screwed.
country if I had the time.
You're welcome to travel
Dude,
to
I
the
live
Midlands
in
in
the
the
cinema.
UK.
Please hit me up.
You live in the cinema.
Well, no, that's an exaggeration. I love the
Yeah.
cinema. I live for
So-
a cinema. I used to work at one. So hit me up.
This is
Oh, I love the cinema as well.
Don't literally hit.
Mm.
Don't literally hit.
cue
Or
the
cute.
cue the
Oh,
emotional
exactly,
music in the
right.
background. This is a fundraising event that we are trying to work towards getting B an actual home because she lives in a cinema. Can you imagine living on a sticky floor where there's crumbs of
worse places to
popcorn all
live.
over the place and just these rancid old hot dogs rolling on a spit?
This is the cinema
We need
from Dead by
to get
Daylight.
as much money as we can. Teach a bee to roll a hot dog, and she'll still not do it because she's vegetarian.
B movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I
My
heard
next
Uh,
cinema
yeah.
experience is going to be the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 3.
Oh, okay, not bad. I mean, I enjoyed them kind of when I was watching them. I did kind of feel like there was too much politics in them, and then people's opinions came out and everyone hated them, and I was kind of in that group where I was like, well, the originals were better, but then the new trilogy came out, and I was like, oh no, we didn't know how good we had it. Like the prequels were actually kind of decent. And then the Obi-Wan show comes
Coherent
out.
story? What?
Obi-Wan show with Hayden Christensen back. Holy fucknuts, was that cool? That was such a
You know
good
what?
show.
Yeah.
He did great.
The
He did
prequels would have been
amazing.
fine if Jar Jars didn't exist.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yes. Jar Jar sucked
Does not
so
need to
much
be there.
ass.
A
Jar
little
Jar
less
sucked so
politics
much
as well.
ass.
And the casual, like, sort of, stereotypical racist stereotypes of people.
Yeah, and fucking what's his name? General Grievous. He's like,
Hmm.
oh, I was taught I was taught to wield a lightsaber by Count Dooku, and then he spins his wrists at full fucking speed, and it's like, yeah, I can really imagine Count Dooku dislocating both of his wrists and spinning his hands. That's
Hold on,
exactly
hold on,
what I can
don't-
imagine him doing. Yeah. Anyway, I could go down a rabbit hole with this, and I know that Tats is sick and needs to get back to looking after themselves. So, we will call it here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for being awesome. And we'll pick this up next time. We obviously have some conversation to go through between Briar and Odin. But next session is going to be a combat session. And we've been away from combat for a little bit. But this one is going to be a fight. So bring your axes and your swords and your spells and get ready to kick ass or to have your asses kicked, because this is coming as well hot on the heels of me doing however many weeks of sessions training myself through practice in Cryptic Critters sessions to make properly balanced, properly leveled fights for the appropriate class level. But
Appreciate you.
you are going to actually fight a difficult fight, and it will be as long as it takes, but it will take some time. But there we go.
Well, it's nice knowing you guys.
Warning you up ahead of at the top of everything, and also reminding B that Ruby is next on my shit list for you fucking always messaging in the chat and moving my fucking camera around. And I just adjusted it. So get ready to die. Anyway, fun times for everybody here at Alan Dresser. Thank you so much for being here.
You once were.
Yeah. Ruby's much younger now. We can't say that for B, but you know, whatever. I am going to get punched in the face tomorrow by B. Just so that you're all aware. So then the next fundraiser is going to be to set my broken nose, but you know, we'll deal with that when it comes. In the meantime, though, we're not going to raid out to anybody.
Fucking line, I'm first.
In the meantime, well, you are quite fragile at your age, aren't you? In the meantime, we're going to not raid out to anybody. We're just going to say, please be good to yourselves, and if you can't do that, then at least have fun. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you, everyone.
Love you.
Bye.